So today we're talking about the top 10. This is the worst Nintendo franchises list. And some of these are not even Nintendo franchises. Like Yokai Watch and Raving Rabbits are not owned by Nintendo. Okay? Yeah, if you look at this list, some of these C games are. Yo. Some of these games are like, for example, now look at the worst Nintendo games list. Because I think everybody wants to know what the worst Nintendo games. And of course, be excluding games that are not owned by Nintendo or published by Nintendo. They have to be published by Nintendo, and of course, the game has to be owned by Nintendo. So, yep, this is the top 10 worst Nintendo games. And of course, this list has the CDI games at number 1, number 2. But, judging by our rules, we won't count these two entries. Yes, these CDI games are almost absolutely horrible. But Nintendo did license these games to CDI. But technically we'll count them. Why? Because at least Hotel Mario was licensed by Nintendo. Though. Though. But Zelda Wand of Gamelon as well. But for the sake of this argument, we'll be excluding the CDI games. As basically the CDI Philips wanted to use Nintendo characters to promote their console. And they were not developed by Nintendo or a Nintendo subsidiary, which makes them not Nintendo games. Yes, they were licensed to Philips, but they were not on a Nintendo console. Number 4, first of all, and number 2, they were not made by Nintendo, and number 3, Nintendo ignores their existence altogether. So the CDI games are technically not even Nintendo games, because they're not even on a Nintendo console. But then we have Mario Year's Preschool Fun. Unfortunately, like the last two games, this game is basically just an educational game. This game is meant for preschoolers. I know the game probably does suck, but this is a game. This is supposed to be like stuff like Leapfrog and stuff. This is intended for very young kids. Kids, of course, a grown adult wouldn't like this game. But then we have Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, a game that people genuinely hate, and of course, is not the CDI games as they're omitted from of course being Nintendo games as they're not on a Nintendo console. So yes, they have characters that are owned by Nintendo, but they weren't developed by Nintendo at all, and were not pushed on a Nintendo console. Amiibo Festival is one of the most hated games of all time, and it's basically just a garbage Mario Party ripoff. And my brother tried to convince me that this was a good game. Dear grief. Next is Sticker Style. Yep, not surprised this pile of shit is on here. This is probably one of the worst things Nintendo have ever done. It would have been this is not even me considered a game. It's just generic Mario, but it's Paper Mario. Paper Mario is all about the fun and wacky and unique characters, the good storylines. Yes, the RBG elements were gone in like games like Origami King, but the storyline was still good. You still had characters. You still had characters that you could like and you could root against. But Sticker Style, it's just save Peach from Bowser for the 100th time, okay? Save that for the 2D Mario games and your normal Mario games, not Paper Mario. Make new and unique and memorable villains for Paper Mario. I think they find one the lesson in the Origami King as well. So next is Hey You Pikachu, another game that people hate. This is a game I think Nintendo should try to remake with on the phones because you can use mics on iPhones as well or on the 3DS. But this game was just a disaster. And this game is made by Pokemon is a Nintendo property. Yes, Nintendo only owns 40% of Pokemon, but that still makes it a Nintendo property. Some of the games further down the list are not even Nintendo games or Nintendo properties. Or aren't even a Nintendo console. But yeah. In order for a game to be a bad Nintendo game, it has to be on a Nintendo console, which is why the CDI games are omitted. But yeah, Hey You Pikachu was considered a dysfunctional game. Metroid Other M, yeah, this is the game that basically put Metroid on hiatus for almost a decade before Metroid Samus Returns and Metroid Dread came out, to critical praise and fan praise. Metroid has gone a long way from this game to Metroid Dread. Wii Music, yeah, this is one of the most hated games of the Wii because of the E3, presentation. Next is Donkey Kong Jr. Math. Yep, it's basically just a game where you play math. This would be a cool game on cool math games, but yeah, this is a official Nintendo game. It would be different if Donkey Kong Jr. Math was just like a calculator and you were able to do it, but why would anyone want a Donkey Kong Jr.? Next is Volleyball. There's no comment. There's another CDI game, Crew Land. Yep, this is another one of those old Nintendo games that a lot of people hate because they reused the rupees from Zelda, apparently. 1-2 Switch, yeah, a lot of people hate this game. This is considered like one of the worst Switch games. And Nintendo has learned from their mistakes and don't even acknowledge this game's existence anymore. I think everybody forgot 1-2 Switch even exists. Next is Mario is Missing. Yeah, another game that people absolutely hate. It's an educational game. Basically like Mario's Time Machine. Urban Champion, is a game that exists. Then we have this questionable choices. Mario Kart Double Dash. This is a very questionable choice. You would think that Metroid Prime Federation Force, I forgot that game existed. It also came out in 2015 and didn't really bring anything to the Metroid franchise and kind of made people hate the Metroid franchise even further. But apparently Mario Kart Double Dash is worse than Metroid Prime Federation Force. A game that brought a bad name to a very iconic Nintendo franchise. And then we have Smash Bros. 64. Yep. Next is Mario Party Island Tour. This game is basically hated because it's just like Mario Party 9 and Mario Party 10. A lot of people hated the 2010s era of Mario Party, starting with made by ND Cube. ND Cube is at least trying to make good Mario Party games nowadays, with Mario Party Superstars and Super Mario Party. But the 3DS, Wii U, and Wii era of Mario Party was kind of the dark age of Mario Party. Yes, Mario Party has started to redeem itself with the Switch, but the 3DS era of Mario Party was just horrible. And of course the Wii U game, and of course the Wii games. Next is Skyward Sword. Yeah, I'm not surprised this game is on here. It has two of the most hated Zelda characters, Fi and Groose, even though Groose has an amazing theme, it's not be considered a hated character just because of his theme. And let's not forget about the fact that people hate the game because of its controls. People hate this Zelda entry because of its controls. It was so hated by Nintendo that Nintendo said, you know what, let's remake it for the Switch. Not Ocarina of Time, not Wind Waker, not any other Zelda game. Skyward Sword, the most hated of the mainline entry Zelda games because of its horrible controls. And yeah, they did fix the controls in the Switch version, but what was the point of remastering Skyward Sword anyways if people didn't like it? Next is really Melee? I get it. This game is overrated. And people don't like the fact that this game is praised and is considered the best Smash game. And the Melee fanboys are the ones to blame for this. But overrated, it's really deserving of one of the worst Nintendo games of all time. It's really deserving among games like Mario Party Island Tour. No, it is not. Next is Mario Kart, yeah, Virtual Boy. And yeah, here we go. Metroid Prime Federation Force. It is basically considered the worst Metroid game in history. But Other M is older, so that's why it's further on this list. Next is Super Mario Bros. Special. And Devil's Third. These are not even made by Nintendo. Though I think Super Mario Bros. Special is the Game Boy. I think Super Mario Bros. Special is a fan game. Why though? Oh, I think it's the Game Boy version of Super Mario Bros. Why is that even on the list? It caused a lot of nostalgia for many people who played the Game Boy, and that game caused a lot of nostalgia for me during my early years of, life. So, that was far as not even Nintendo stack up another forgettable, you know, you know, Super Mario 64. Here is the one game that people are blowing up the list. First of all, this is not even made by Nintendo. It can't be a Nintendo game if it's not developed by Nintendo. I don't know why people don't get this. Super Mario 64 is not a Nintendo game. It is a licensed game made by Titus Software, not Nintendo. And this game was also planned to be put on the PS1. So that means the PS1 was almost cursed of Super Mario 64 as well. And this game was only called Super Mario 64 because the PlayStation version was cancelled. So after poor reception and sales. But yeah, this does not really count as a Nintendo game. It's like putting, it's like putting, FIFA 21 on the Switch on the world's Nintendo games, even though we all know that's an EA game, not a Nintendo game. Next is Metroid, another game that, why is this even on the list? Super Diddy Kong Country, Donkey Kong Country, Diddy Kong's Quest, and Super New as well. Why are these games even on this list? I can see why New Super Luigi is on this list. A lot of people just do not like the fact that this is just a reskin of Super Mario Bros. U. New Super Mario Bros. U. But the reason why it's a New Super Luigi U was to celebrate the year of Luigi. Therefore, it does not deserve to be on this list. Here's another game that is not made by Nintendo, though. It was not made by Nintendo. Dr. Jackie-O and Mr. Hyde. It was made by Bandai, not Nintendo. Obviously by the box cover. This game was not developed by Nintendo. Okay? It was not developed by Nintendo, though. Yeah. And yeah, it's another one of those games that is historically hated. Star Fox Command is considered one of the worst Star Fox franchises and contributed to the death of the Star Fox franchise until the failed recovery of Star Fox was created. Super Mario Bros. 2. Yeah, this game's just hated because it's different from other Mario games. Pokemon Snap. Yep. 90s kids would be angry at this, but a lot of people are actually going out and saying this is a horrible game. All we really do is take pictures of Pokemon. They didn't make one for the Switch, but that's it. Mario's Time Machine, well, again, let's go back and see the other ones. Paper Mario Color Splash, another one of the most hated games. It is another bad Paper Mario game. And yeah, Nintendo is slowly improving with the Paper Mario games. But like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Paper Mario won't go back to the glory days anytime soon. Especially Pokemon Mystery Dungeon and Paper Mario. Origami King was definitely a step in the right direction, though. And it's definitely much better than this thing. But this was one of the last Wii U games released, so you can't be too harsh on Color Splash. Next is Wario the Master of Disguise. I never played this game before, I don't really know anything about it. It is like a platformer-like game. And we never seen a Wario platformer again, so therefore this is probably not a good game. Splatoon 2 and Yoshi's Story, and of course a Nintendo Bad Arcade. Yeah, this is just a money-hungry pile of garbage. Mario Party 9, well, yeah, this is the one that introduced the vehicle system to the game, so it's on this list. Kirby's Adventure. Well, Kirby's Adventure is hated for being a very short and simple game. Well, back in the day, games were made to be... And this game was also criticized back in the day for being too easy. It was considered to be too easy compared to games like Mega Man and Castlevania and Ninja Gaiden. True real hardcore games. Then we have Smash Bros. Ultimate, Super Mario Strikers, Mario Luigi Dream Team. Just a bunch of games that people actually love, except for Mario Party 10. Mario Party 10, yep, the cow, people hate the mini styles, and no wonder why they returned back to the original formula in Super Mario Party and Mario Party Superstars. Next is Star Fox Zero. Yeah, people hate the motion controls. Okay. And this killed off the Star Fox franchise for good. Maybe Nintendo might bring it back. Pokemon Conquest. Well, Pokemon Conquest got boring after you beat the game. Yeah, you have all these storylines about the characters in the story, but it wasn't really Replay, Splatoon, we're just skipping it, Zelda's Adventure, CDI, not Nintendo. Resident Zelda 2, another game that people don't like. Resident Zelda 2 is often considered the black sheep in the Zelda franchise, because it's a 2D side-scrolling game compared to the original top-down games. And yeah, it is kind of a hated game. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Gates to Infinity. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Gates to Infinity did ruin the Mystery Dungeon series for many people. And caused the series to have low sales since, with Mystery Dungeon DX not really selling or barely selling 1 million copies, and Super Mystery Dungeon barely selling 1 million copies. And Super Mystery Dungeon wasn't really that much better. It's just Sunsoft made so many strange and odd changes to the Mystery Dungeon formula. It just didn't make any sense. And at least the story was okay, but this was really, yeah. Tanahashi Life, Super Princess Peach. Well, people hate this game just because it's about Peach, which is completely stupid, as this is a pretty, more underrated type of game. I used to play this game a lot when I was a kid, and I liked playing it a lot. I don't know why people hate this game so much. But some people also hate it because of the Vibe Spectre adult joke message. This. Star Fox 64. Well, it's hated because of its fan base, not because of Call of Duty. Star Fox 64 is basically becoming infamous because of the Star Fox fan base. The Star Fox fan base is basically a bunch of crybabies. And, like Melee, a lot of people love Star Fox 64, and most Star Fox fans are mostly normal people. But there's still the Star Fox 64 elitists who refuse to play anything that isn't exactly like Star Fox 64, which has contributed to the Star Fox franchise decline, just like how Sonic Adventure elitists and Classic Sonic elite fanboys contributed to the fall of the Sonic series. Pokemon Dash. Well, this game is just hated for just being boring and it's not fun. But it was a good time killer back in the day. Mario Teaches Typing, yeah, why did we need a sequel to Mario Teaches Typing? Do we really need a game called Mario Teaches Typing? But the first game is considered pretty good because it's just educational fun. You learn how to type with Mario. Next is Mario Tennis Open. Okay. Here. Then we have CB Robo Zip Blast. We're going over the games that Nintendo actually hated by Nintendo fans. CB Robo Zip Blast killed off the CB Robo franchise for good. By turning CB Robo used to be was a very underrated and very unknown 2D, no, not 2D, very underrated open world game. You play as a robot that goes around and does tasks throughout the house. Now CB Robo Zip Blast was turned into a soulless game. And they said if this game didn't do well, the CB Robo franchise would be dead. And of course, no one bought CB Robo Zip Blast, so therefore, the CB Robo franchise is likely gonna be dead for a while. This is not even a Nintendo game. Mario Party 8, well, Ballyhoo is just a bad character. And also, this game had a controversy over, of course, Kamek saying an inappropriate word. Bayonetta 2, this is not Nintendo. This is not a Nintendo game. This is a Sega franchise. Again, it is exclusive to the Wii U and Nintendo Switch, and Bayonetta 3 is exclusive to the Switch, but it is not a Nintendo franchise. Since of course Bayonetta 2 is basically, Sega still owns this series. That's why people still call Bayonetta a third-party rep and Smash Bros. But I won't be surprised if Bayonetta does return in the next Smash game. But this game is hated just because Bayonetta in Smash. Not even Nintendo. Codename Steam, yeah. No one played this game. And just another Mario Tennis Ultra Smash, lack of content. Pokemon Sword and Shield, yeah, you know why this game sucks. Kirby Battle Royale, I thought this game was pretty fun. The Need for Speed games and Burnout are not even Nintendo. And now we're getting to the point where it's mostly just like games that people like. or games that nobody has heard of. Most Nintendo games are not bad, and that should be the rest of this video. A lot of these games are not even Nintendo games, like Bubsy, Mass Effect 3, and of course Superman 64 and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. They're not even Nintendo games, basically. But yeah, people are adding games that are just on Nintendo consoles and saying, oh yeah, they're Nintendo games. And yeah, Nintendo did not own a lot of these games, like Mega Man and Sonic, and Just Dance and Monster Hunter, and a lot of these games further down the list. So there we go about the worst Nintendo games. Again, with the exception of the dark ages of the 3DS and Wii U era, there aren't really many despised and hated Nintendo games. Yes, Nintendo has had the Wii U and 3DS were the dark ages of Nintendo games, which is probably why the 3DS is the worst selling Nintendo handheld, and the Wii U is the worst selling console of all time, excluding Virtual Boy. And yep, that's basically it about this video. Goodbye.